Salut à tous et bienvenue sur votre chaîne d'infos sur le punk rock et le vinyle. Aujourd'hui, vous allez pouvoir visionner une interview que j'ai réalisée avec le chanteur-guitariste Dennis Jagard du groupe Ten Football dans le cadre de la sortie de leur nouvel album Winning, apparaître le 14 octobre sur toutes les plateformes digitales et début 2023 pour le support physique vinyle. Ten Football, c'est 40 ans de carrière dans le hardcore mélodique et déjà 8 albums studio au compteur. Dans ces 40 ans de carrière, notons tout de même 10 ans d'activité sous le nom de Scared Straight, de 1983 à 1993, période musicale plus étiquetée straight edge. Allez, Ten Football, c'est ça. Et ça. Et pourquoi pas ça aussi. Je vous propose de visionner tout de suite. À tout à l'heure. So hello Dennis.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm on tour with Weird Al Yankovic. It's a 133 show tour. 6 months long.
Oh
and
God.
I have 27 days left.
Oh yeah, okay. It's a long
I'm very
tour.
tired.
I can imagine, yes, for sure. So yeah, but you're talking about it. It's funny because beside your band, beside Ten Football, you are also a sound technician, and you worked with names like Prince, Beck, Jimmy Eat World, great names. And now you are with Weird Al Yankovic. You say it like that? I don't know.
Yeah,
and
Weird Al. You could just say Weird Al, but yeah, Yankovic.
Weird Al.
Yeah.
Weird Al. You're with Weird Al as a sound technician, I guess?
Yes, I mix the sound that the audience hears. So I try to make it sound like a record, like just like amazing a record. And also, but add excitement too, like, you know, make it really loud sometimes or real soft. And
okay.
Weird Al is cool because there's a lot of different styles of music. Every song is a different style. So for a sound engineer, that's a lot of fun.
So as we said, you work with great names like Prince, Beck. And do you have like I don't know, like a dream, an artist you really would love to work with?
I like working with artists where I like their songs. So this is gonna sound funny, but I think it'd be fun to work with Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez. Or Muse, or Radiohead maybe, but they have a lot of songs that aren't so interesting to me too. So some artists have some great songs, but then a lot of catalog where they just drone on for 10 minutes and I'll fall asleep. But I have a pretty eclectic music taste.
Yeah, I can see it.
I have no shame too. Like if I'm sad, I turn on Selena Gomez, or if I want to mow the lawn and do yard work, I turn on Britney Spears. It's like, you better work, bitch. And I'm out there working, mowing the lawn, you know.
Okay, I see. And so you have toured a lot. I read like over 1,000 shows and met
Oh yeah.
met a lot of bands. I can imagine that punk rock scene has changed since the 90s. What would be the main change in the punk rock scene since the 90s, in your opinion?
Well, I think, well, I would say, I'll start with the 80s. In the 80s, punk rock was more dangerous, was more kind of really underground, and the people who were in it were kind of outcasts of society. And then in the 90s, it was more mainstream, where the people who went to punk shows were kind of like nice skater kids, like pretty, mostly. I'm, you know, not, you know, there's trends where the people who went to at least the shows we played at were like kind of just, you know, regular kids who liked to skateboard and liked fast music.
Yeah.
And it's harder to say in the 2000s, because I think it's just kind of mixed up, where people like it mostly because they like the music. So there's not so much a type of person anymore. So when I first went to punk shows, like in the 80s, the bands were like Black Flag and Circle Jerks and Dead Kennedys and Minor Threat. And so the people who liked that music were kind of very, at least in my perspective, were outside of the average people. And the average people, I'll even go so far as the average people hated them. Like, and not even just hated those people, but just hated the idea of punk. I remember like kids on my school bus being like, just punk sucks. Like, we're going to kick your ass. But they had no idea what punk even was. 1983.
Maybe when you play some show with 10 Football, you can see maybe people like 40 years old now who follow the band since the beginning. No?
Oh yeah, there's people of all ages, and you know, it's exciting to see young people. But it's great to see old friends too. Like, it's just nice that anybody cares about these songs. Like, some of these songs I wrote 30 years ago, like you said, 30 or 40 years ago. And it's just such a great feeling when anybody's singing along. I especially like playing acoustic shows too, because I can it's a smaller crowd and I can connect with people and tell stories. And as you can tell, I like to talk. So I like to tell little stories. And if you ask a question, I could just go down a path and talk for 30 minutes, you know, some story about Prince or whatever. And so the acoustic shows are real fun. I'll stop in the middle of a song and just start talking.
Okay.
Have a captive audience there.
So let's focus now on your band, on 10 Football. And can you introduce the members of the band at this time?
Yeah, currently, I'll introduce the French-speaking guy. Guillaume 14 is a drummer out of Quebec area. I think he lives in Quebec City area now, but he's really from some river up in Quebec somewhere. And he's a tattoo artist and just an amazing drummer. And Scott Hallquist was the lead singer of a band, DC Fallout. And I saw videos of him running the show, and he just had a charisma and was like, he was the front man of DC Fallout. And I thought it'd be fun if 10 Foot Pole had more harmonies, like really like another lead vocal singer, like someone who could really sing. So I brought Scott in the band. But it's funny, Guillaume 14 ends up being a great singer. He just has this really smooth voice. So between those two guys, now I've got two other good singers that, especially on the acoustic records and stuff, it's fun to have more harmonies. And then on bass is Richie Petrillo out of Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And we met him on tour. He was in an opening band, a support band, when we played in Portland, I think around 2018 or 17. and he was just amazing. He was just shredding up there,
Yeah.
kind of that like Iron Maiden, Little Joe style, like Lagwagon, of where the bass player is like just going and moving all the time. So I got him because he was great, but then I'm always telling him, maybe don't play so many notes, because the song might sound better with only 7 out of the 8 notes in the scale.
Could you live in a financial way only with the band, with albums, merch, and live shows?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I mean, not the way I would like to live. I have 2 kids and a wife and 1 doggy right now, but I would like to get another dog when I get home. I was just playing with puppies a couple of days ago, and yeah, and so they count on me to support them. I'm the breadwinner, and my wife works, but it's a hit and miss. She doesn't have to work, and when I go out with the band, we might make money some days, when we might lose money some days. So it's just more risky. It's not. When you own the band is like owning a business, and it's not a business like the toilet paper business that everybody wants and buys every day.
Yeah.
It's more like, I don't know what to compare it to, but there's it's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, roller coaster.
Woo! Good times and then hard times. It's like we could have amazing times, and then maybe the van gets stolen and all the or the merch gets held up at the border, or there's so many different things that can happen that and just flat out ticket sales. Maybe we booked a tour, and then this actually happened to us. We booked a tour in Japan, and then right after we booked it, we found out the Offspring booked this tour at the same time, and they were playing right down the street in every city in Japan.
Oh God.
And I asked our booking agent, should we just move it or change it? And they're like, no, you can't, because Japan, even though it was a 1 year away, they're like, Japanese people, we cannot change. It must be there. So we went all the way to Japan and played right down the street from the Offspring every day. We still had crowds, but but the crowds were more of like, it just would have been better if the Offspring wasn't playing down the street. And it was the first time they had been there in like 10 years or something. So they had a smash hit, an album called Smash that sold 7 million records.
Sure. It's hard. It's hard. And so the main news for the band is the release of your new album called Winning for October the 14th.
Yes.
How this album has been composed? Is it the same way as the previous ones, or did you compose it another way for this time?
I think one difference is on this album, I wrote the songs that I wrote, which is all but 4 of them. So the 9 songs that I wrote, I wrote many more songs, but the best 9 that I kept were written on electric guitar. I think a lot of previous albums were written on acoustic or electric guitar. So because I just made the last 10-Foot Pole record was an acoustic album, Simmer Down. And because I spent so much time with acoustic, I was tired of acoustic. And I had gotten this new guitar with an Evertune bridge that always stays in tune. And so I just started writing on the electric guitar. And I think writing on the electric guitar and also just feeling like, we knew some people, the previous album before Simmer Down was escalating quickly, and we had a lot of like guitar solos, and
yes, true.
Ryan Green, our producer, even put like keyboards on it and stuff. And so it was kind of like experimental. Like I told him, just have fun, let's see what happens. But some of the fans loved it, and some were disappointed. So I and
it was
record, I kind of went back to Dennis Jagard guitar writing, more like Rev and Insider.
And so where did you record it? How many times did it take to in the record process? Where did you record it, and how many times?
Well, when I wrote the songs, I made demos, and so the demos is like like programming drums and playing the guitars, and like I basically record the whole song, and then sometimes change the arrangements, or I like to give a song a chance. Like if it's really worthy, like I try to make a whole demo recording, and then listen to it and then decide, like, is that worthy and do we have enough songs? And then we go to the real recording. And in this case, Guillaume played drums in near Montreal in a little studio in Montreal. So he did all the drum tracks, and then sent them back. So this is the first rock album that I produced and mixed.
So we can see on the sleeve two women fighting or boxing in a ring with the title of the album, Winning. What is the message? What is the message or messages of this sleeve and title?
Well, I kind of thought winning as kind of like sarcastic winning, ironic or sarcastic. And in the thing, both of them are getting hit at the same time. The idea was to have them just be beaten to a pulp, with kind of the idea that competition and this kind of zero-sum mentality of life, of like, I can't win unless you lose, so we're going to have a big fight, is kind of losing. And there's one song that's out, Can We Stop Trying to Win? And so it was kind of based on the idea of that song, which is that in a competition where we're fighting, we're both getting hurt, we're both losing, and it's frustrating, especially in the United States. I feel like the vibe is so competitive, and there's so many things where we could be working together to make our lives better, but instead people are just tearing each other apart. It's just attack, and at the end of the day, it's just sad. It's sad to see the whole, like, it feels like we're on a trajectory to extinction of the whole planet. We're killing the planet so we can get ahead, and it's just so frustrating to see that. But I don't like to be, I don't want to be super political and upset our fans who don't agree with me. So I'll leave it at that. But the basic idea is that at the very least, can we work together sometimes? Can we not be a dick to each other? And I've written previous songs like "Don't Be a Dick." It's along those similar lines of like, if we're cool to each other, life for all of us is going to be better.
Sure, and we already can listen to 2 songs on streaming platforms. Maybe I've seen yesterday more on YouTube.
There's if you go to 10footpole.com, TEN 10footpole.com, you can just scroll down our news and you can see all the releases, and each one has a page that has the different streaming platforms. I think as of the time of this recording, I think there's 5 songs out now. And
I think
October 14th, it'll be all open. So
and including the song F Around and Find Out. So fuck around and find out. What a great song. And
glad you like it.
Yeah, we can listen to it right now.
Fuck around and find out. 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 Are you mistaking empathy for weakness? As if we lose.
What did happen? Were you pissed when you wrote this song, or can you tell us more about this song?
Oh, well, that song's kind of about toxic masculinity. It's let's see. Yeah, it's basically like a tough guy song. It's kind of, but it's also a little bit ironic in that it's basically told from the view of a nice guy who's complaining about tough guys mistaking being nice for being weak. But it's also, I thought it was funny because the nice guy is basically acting like a tough guy because he's saying, oh, you're going to be mean to me because I'm nice. Well, fuck around and find out. Like, I'm not really nice. Well, and it's kind of, it reminds me of, people have said before that the guys you really have to watch out for are the nice guys. Because if you push them beyond the limit, they'll kind of snap and sometimes react more viciously than the tough guys like you don't expect, because you push them too far and they like can't they don't have like an even keeled what's the word, escalation, to use like escalating quickly instead of a gentle escalation like you might expect. Tough guys are like, oh, I'm a tough guy, I'm gonna, you know, don't cross me or I'll punch you in the face, whereas, you know, the nice guys might be like, you know, oh my, you know, you hurt my feelings, I'm gonna blow this whole place up kind of vibe. It's just they're kind of unstable.
Yeah. So you made a very long
hiatus.
hiatus between the album Subliminal Messages, released in 2004, and Escalating Quickly, released in 2019. So 15 years of hiatus. And why did you decide to come back?
Well, we never really stopped, but I mean, well, I've been doing this for 40 years. And so there's been times when after let's see, Subliminal Messages, I did a lot of the work myself. So it was like, I don't remember now, 6 months of long hours of working. I didn't mix the record, but I did do all the editing and I recorded all the vocals and the bass, and Ryan Green did the drums and guitars. But I guess it just was so much work. And then when we went out to play, it was supposed to be on Victory Records. And then we had an issue with Victory Records. And it ended up that I basically did it myself and I paid for the recording. And then when we were supposed to tour, some of the touring fell through. We were supposed to tour with Trigger Happy in Europe, and they dropped out because of one of their guys had to go to drug rehab. And there was just so many challenges that just made it not fun. And but also importantly, I started doing more sound work and was working. So we didn't take a full hiatus at that point. We made a little EP for Japan, and then we were going to go on a little tour of Japan. And then I got a job working for Prince. And when I first started working for Prince, I told them, I'm completely available except for this 2 weeks I'm going to go to Japan. And sure enough, right before the tour, I get this call and they said, you know, Prince is wondering if you can cancel your tour in Japan, because he booked these shows in Chicago and whatever. And I said no. And I said no. I promised these people that 10-Foot Pole would play in Japan. I can't go back on that. And which was really hard, because 10-Foot Pole was something that lost a lot of money and was very hard and not rewarding. And the Prince thing was like a huge opportunity for me, but it was kind of an ethical question.
And last question, what are the next steps for 10-Foot Pole? Do you have good news for the fans, or?
I hope so. Right now we're still seeing if we can tour next year, trying to arrange the tours. And it really depends on the promoters, on the hosts. If we can find people who are willing to, putting on a show is a financial risk. And if we can find people who are willing to put up money to help us pay our costs of touring, then we want to tour. But then again, if Taylor Swift calls me up and says, I want that guy Denny, I went to a Weird Al show and it was awesome, I want to sound like that.
Yeah.
I do very good quality work. And so you never know what artist might see me and want to hire me. And then it would be a tough call. But if I promise to play 10-Foot Pole, then of course I've got to do it. But the plan is to do both acoustic house parties, backyard parties, small acoustic shows, and big full 10-Foot Pole band shows. And we'll play as much as we can. I can't make any promises, but especially if festivals get us. We've had some festival interest already. I hope we could do it in France too. I don't know. My great grandmother is full French, Marguerite, and so for me it's fun to be. I don't know what percentage I am, but I'm a good percent. So I like going there, and I hope we can again.
Okay. So many thanks for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation to be on your podcast.
Yeah, and it's really great to have you on this interview. And I wish you a great day.
Well, thank you. And remember to check out 10footpole.com. And I hope to see you all. And to stay in touch, because that's the other thing that can help us tour is if people are in touch with us, so they know that we're actually doing a show. Because that's the other sad thing about touring is when you play somewhere across the world and then the next day you get a thing, oh, I heard you guys played in my hometown last night, but I missed it. I didn't hear about the show. Can you come back? So like, Leon? Well, maybe, but it might be 5 or 10 years.
Okay, right. See you.
Et voilà, l'interview est maintenant terminée. J'espère que vous en connaissez davantage sur 10 Football maintenant. En vrai, l'interview était 2 fois plus longue. Denis est un vrai bavard, mais c'est une personne super cool avec de vraies valeurs. Je ne le remercierai jamais assez pour m'avoir consacré ce temps. Sinon, je vous invite à suivre 10 Football sur les réseaux sociaux sur 10football.com. Vous pouvez précommander l'album qui sortira en version vinyle début 2023 directement sur le site de Puremania, www.puremaniawax.com, le site spécialisé dans la vente de vinyle punk rock. Je vous mets tous ces liens dans la description. Merci à vous, abonnez-vous, likez, partagez et je vous dis à très vite. Bye.
Wow.